Honorable Member for Kisauni, Mbogo, Menza.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to echo my voice on this extremely important bill, the National Youth Council Amendment Bill. Madam Speaker, from the onset, I wish to state clearly that I fully support the bill. It's extremely important, and we as members of Parliament, we have to walk the talk. Madam Speaker, we've had occasions here in this same House whereby we as members, we continuously advocate for the youth. But whenever after the vetting has been done, like now I know there are quite a number of vettings that have been done, and you'll find those who have been appointed, they are all above 61 years old. And yes, it is the same House that will confirm them as leaders. And yet we are here advocating for the youth. Madam Speaker, we as members of this House, we have to be honest to the youth of this country. Madam Speaker, the census results were released late last year. And yes, 80% of those results confirms that 80% of the population of this country are youth. So 73% confirms, thank you, Honorable Makau. 73%, they fall under the youth category. So this clearly confirms that this country is a youth nation. But what are we doing about this youth? What mechanism, what resources have we deployed to ensure the youth are catered for whatever they want to do? There are issues of medical. There are issues of funding to encourage them to venture into businesses. But, Madam Speaker, this has not been actualized. Madam Speaker, the government came up with so many initiatives to support the youth. They came up with the youth fund. They came up with the Uwezo fund. There is the Biashara fund. But, Madam Speaker, all these initiatives, they are not delivering what is expected of them. If you look at, like my constituents in Kisauni, we've been applying, my youth have been applying to get access, to get funding from the youth fund, from Uwezo fund. But there are a lot of bureaucracy, and to make it worse, like the youth fund is centralized. Everything has to be decided here in Nairobi. It's not like Uwezo fund whereby we have patrons. The members of Parliament are patrons of the Uwezo fund. But nevertheless, most of our youth today, they ended up maybe being given small loans here and there, and they've ended up in CRB. So they cannot be able even to access those funds, because one of the requirements for you to access youth fund today, one of the requirement for you to access Uwezo fund, you must be cleared by CRB. And most of our youth are victims of those loans that they were given to them, either maybe through Fuliza, Mshwari, and so forth and so forth. So, Madam Speaker, there is need of all these funds to be restructured if we really want to help the youth of this country. Madam Speaker, we came up with also the AGPO initiative, whereby the youth of this country can be able to access the government procurement opportunities. But, Madam Speaker, 30% of those tenders are supposed to be allocated to the youth and women and Kenyans with physical disabilities. But does it really happen? The answer is no. Because today, you go fight for a tender, maybe through a CDF or through KERA or through the county or even through the national government. Even if you are awarded that tender, that youth cannot be able to raise the required capital to do that job. What happens? You end up defaulting in doing that job, and eventually it is maybe re-advertised or it goes to somebody else. And what has actually happened, Madam Speaker, because the youth do not have the resources, the required resources to do these jobs, you will find those who are rich, the rich people, the rich business community, they have actually started companies which have youth as a face, but at the end of the day, it's being controlled by the same people. So a youth will just be given the tender, but at the end of the day, he will not be able to realize the full benefit of that tender. It is the person behind it who is pulling the strings, who will be able to take the bigger cut. The youth will end up maybe with 10% of what will be realized. So we are not helping the youth of this country. We came up with a program like Kazi kwa Vijana. Eventually, we saw what happened. It had actually raised hopes for many youth of this country. You go to any constituency, you will find youth engaged in some activities. But what happened? It was corruption came in. Eventually, the whole program was killed off. And we left our youth hue and dry. And today, Madam Speaker, what we are waiting for, this is a time bomb. We cannot be talking of 73% of this country being controlled by the youth. And we, who have already transited that category, we are sitting pretty quiet and assuming things will just happen. Things will never happen if we as a house do not take action and push things to the end. Madam Speaker, this country is not a manufacturing nation. This country is an agrarian nation. But we can be able to revitalize this country if we actually and focus to empower the youth, whereby the funding and everything can be provided to them so that they can be able to start their own businesses. My colleague here, Honorable Owen Bayer, talked about the youth business leaders, like what is happening in the US. And these are the things that need to be initiated and actualized, because we know this country does not have plants. This country does not have oil. We just discovered oil the other day from Turkana, but even that, we do not have like a refinery there. We are just transporting that oil via a road, via the road network to Mombasa, and the same oil is exported out of this country. But it does not actually, we do not see the value addition on that oil, which could have actually created employment for the main youth of this country. So, Madam Speaker, there is serious need of we as members to consider how best we can be able to bring resources together and make sure this 73% of the Kenyan population is taken care of. Madam Speaker, we started the TVETs. But even the TVETs themselves, which the law is very clear that they're supposed to be devolved to each and every constituency. But there is a lot of politics in it. Today, there are quite a number of constituencies in this country who have not benefited from the TVETs. And we know the TVETs are supposed to provide a backbone and sound training on technical skills. And we know if our youth are trained properly, this country can become a major exporter of skills out of this country to many parts of the world, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, if these youth are trained, we can have a serious and a vibrant manpower out of this country called Kenya. So, Madam Speaker, it is my wish that the member here, Honorable Gideon Keter, he should seriously take into consideration the issues that we've raised, not only about the membership, reducing the members from 24 to 10, at the national level, but it needs to cascade down there. It needs to go to the constituency level. It needs to have, these members, they have to be elected competitively. It's not like to be spoon-fed or to be nominated to this position. The moment you are nominated, basically somebody is actually pulling the strings for you. He's actually controlling you because you are there not by your own, but somebody has actually planted you there. So, Madam Speaker, with those few remarks, I fully support the bill. Thank you.